Okay, that's it. We're recording at last. We had some, I don't know what kind of problem. I think it was an end user problem. Anyways, welcome, welcome back to Bob and Jamie Talk Boxing. We skipped a week there, and people were concerned. People were asking if you were okay. And I said that you were just busy, but it shows that a whole bunch of people like you. They
Oh,
like
that's
you
lovely,
coming on
mate.
here.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't even get text messages off people who live around the corner if they don't hear from me. So yeah, thank you. Thank you, everyone. I've um I've put on a fair bit of weight in these in the 2 weeks we've been apart. Me and Bob have been talking about it. I need to get on the old 195 challenge, don't I, Bob? But other than that, everything's good. A lot of boxing to talk about.
Yeah, and well, before we get to that, I will because I my road to 195 has not been successful. I've stopped and turned and started walking in the other direction. I will. We'll work together to try and lose some of the flab. In my case,
Yeah.
um, to boxing. Yes. Well, why don't we start with what do you think from soup to nuts on the Johnny Fisher Dave Allen rematch? What's your take on that, Jamie?
I'm very happy. I'm very happy because, it wasn't Johnny Fischer Jr.'s fault, but I couldn't take to him because of his dad. He's talentless. Well, he might have a talent. I believe he's a joiner. I think a friend of an old friend of mine knows him. I'm sure he said he's a joiner, so he's actually quite a talented guy, but seems to have moved his talents onto mastication and eating large quantities of food now, and I can't take to the guy. I just think, what are we allowing into the sphere of celebrity nowadays? Do you know what I mean? You eat a couple of bits of egg fried rice, and suddenly you're a superstar. So it wasn't really my cup of tea, and hopefully Dave Allen coming in and doing what he did last night sort of dampens the noise a little bit. I don't know about you, Bob, but I was surprised. Coming in, he wasn't exactly in shape, but it was a functional sort of out of shape. I think he was marching him down like a Terminator last night, wasn't he? And he was just like, I'm not going to be denied. You can throw at me. We're not going to have the same fight that we had last time because you can hit me, but I can hit you a lot harder. And he just ground him down in the end, didn't
Yeah, I mean, you threw me at mastication there. I really, for a nanosecond, I didn't know where you were going to go. Um,
he? Sorry.
I think probably a lot of people who are sort of listening to this on their walk or on their maybe on their drive are going, "What? What did he just say?"
That's me being pretentious, ladies and gentlemen. I've turned into Gareth A.
Uh,
Davis. Mastication means chewing for those who are uninitiated. Yeah.
I'm sure the YouTube algorithm won't object to that. But anyways, yeah. It's, I, I think there was something like firstly, I was really, really, really happy that Dave Allen got the win.
Yeah.
Um, I've liked Dave Allen pretty much his entire professional career. I've been mad at Dave Allen a whole bunch of times because it seems that he hasn't properly, you know, nurtured his God-given talent.
Yeah.
Um, And yeah, I'm just super happy that last night he came through. I had predicted that Johnny Fisher was going to win on points. And but I put a small bet on because my heart wanted Dave Allen to win. Eventually I cashed out that small bet and put that money, I doubled it down on Fisher. So I lost even more money, but I'm still smiling and I'm still really happy because Dave Allen is a story that I sort of really bought into, and I definitely think that he won the first fight. And this is just, in my view, this is really truly righting a wrong.
Yeah. Certainly is. Um, I want to apologise to me friend Ian as well, because you know Ian as well, don't you, Bob? Give him a
Yeah,
give him a shout out.
he's a good man, and he's a very good
Yeah,
guest on
yeah,
Porky's Corner as well. Excellent.
yeah, very very much so. Ian from Kent. So giving you a shout out, and I do apologise because you asked me what my opinion was last night, didn't you? And I said I think Dave Allen wins on points. I believe I might have even got that wrong. So if you put money down, yeah, I'm sorry because you would have lost it. But yeah, I think we can be. Yeah, we're in the same camp, Bob. Basically, aren't we? I like a feel-good story. I didn't like all of the mouthing off that the Fisher camp were doing, and it's not often that I side with Gareth A. Davis, but I thought he was hard done by John Fisher Senior.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, I did a video this morning, like what went wrong with Johnny Fisher, and like there were a couple of things I identified, but one of the things that went wrong with that whole Johnny Fisher story, my view, of course, is that Big John Fisher, the dad, became the story, and
yeah,
and I don't think that helped. It might have had a short term help, but he's a pretty objectionable guy. Like
yeah,
and his sort of arguing about people not paying his son proper respects after the first fight, etc. I don't know. I think it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. I didn't like it. I thought also like, really, who are you? I mean,
yeah.
you're the dad, but why are you making the story about you? So yeah,
Like,
I don't think he did his son any favors.
yeah, it was BS because you didn't pay my son proper respect. We basically turned around and just said we thought your son lost. That's not disrespectful. That's people in boxing have opinions,
Yeah,
and let's
people were
face it,
saying
it
like
was.
he wasn't very he wasn't very skilled. I mean, those are
Well,
objective analyses, right? It's like that's not hating somebody. And
no,
when people say we think Dave Allen won, and we say because really it was 5-5, but Dave Allen gets the 10-8. That's not
yep,
hating on your son. That's just hey, look, that's how we all saw it, right?
it's fact exactly, and that's what I've made comments because we've got a group chat, haven't we, Bob? All of us, but I've made comments in that group chat that I've found, and this isn't the reason why I wasn't around last week, ladies and gentlemen, but boxing is really, whilst we've had a lot of good times and we're on a bit of an upswing at the moment because of Saudi involvement, etc., etc. Boxing is also, I found myself struggling with it a little bit because of things like judging decisions and just the crap. Like boxing is the only sport it's the only sport that I view that tells me to disbelieve my own eyes constantly. And I said this in a message, didn't I? I was
Yeah,
ranting, when I Bob,
yeah.
a couple of weeks ago. Boxing's the only sport that actively, and a word that gets thrown around too much, and I don't think people really know what it actually means when they're using it a lot of the time. Gaslighting. And to gaslight means to deny someone's reality to them. And boxing does that all the time. How many
Boxing is
times do we watch?
infamous for that right now.
Well, yeah. How many? Yeah.
We're being
Commentary.
asked to
Oh,
believe that. Sorry to interrupt, but like
that's all right.
we're being asked to believe that fighter A, we don't even have to put a name on the person, right? Is the best ever, and we're like,
Yeah.
well, no, that's simply not true. And we have people who should know better saying that a certain heavyweight is the best heavyweight of all time, and this was not that
Yeah.
long ago. And I'm like, look for real. Like he doesn't make most people's top 35. I mean,
No.
like, what are you? Why are you lying? Right? Like,
Yeah. Commentary, and like we said before we come in, didn't we? I'm gonna break the I'm gonna break the Conor Ben duck here, and I'm gonna talk about Conor Ben. Just I was speaking to someone a couple of weeks ago after the fight, and they went, "Oh, that Conor Ben fight was a draw." And I said to this particular person, I said, "Do you know why you think it was a draw?" So she went, "Well, I was watching it on telly." I said, "So you believe the commentators?" Well, she said, I wasn't actually watching the fight. I was listening to it on the radio, but it was on the telly. So she had talk sport on.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
said, yeah, Talksport scored it a draw, and I listened to Talksport. So, and when I actually watched the fight, I watched the full version of the fight. I had Eubank 7 or 8 rounds up.
yeah. Well,
People think because, yeah,
I
sorry,
was in a
Bob.
similar position because I was at the gate at LA Airport and I was
Yeah,
listening to it because I couldn't see it, and I thought, oh, Ben is doing like so much better,
yeah.
and
These are experts, Bob. They're
yeah,
experts.
and I'm listening to them because I've got no visual, thing going on here, and I'm like, wow, this is Conor Ben is so much better than I thought he was going to be.
Yeah,
Um,
in what other realm would an expert opinion
yeah, like
be
if you're watching,
acceptable?
if you're watching Formula One, they don't talk
Yeah,
about the car that's third and saying that they're in the lead. No, it's not. It's the blue car, then the red car, then the yellow car. Don't
well,
say the yellow car's in the lead.
let's look at everyday life, and at risk of this just becoming a rant. But this is what's been wrong with boxing. Like, yeah, there's been a lot of gleam, but there's also a lot of tarnish underneath that surface,
Yeah,
or on top of that surface, the veneer. Um, like in another industry, like health and safety. So you get some health and safety expert in, right? And I don't know, you've got a big crack in your stairs or something. So he's doing a health and safety assessment, and he's like, that big crack in your stairs, that the stairs are corroding, they're awful. If the health and safety expert says to you, "Oh, that's absolutely fine, I'm going to sign it off. This is a safe building," you're going to sack him. If
yeah.
anything happens, you're going to sue him, or do you know what I mean? But in boxing, we are conditioned and gaslit. The public is gaslit into just accepting the crap from these experts. Like Spencer Oliver's boxed. John Rawlings watched countless fights, and but yeah, he's telling us it's a draw when my eyes tell me different, and it's completely unacceptable.
And then, of course, you look at the comment section on Facebook or YouTube videos, and it's full of people who've actually got their entire information from those commentators.
Yeah, which
And
is
so,
fair enough.
you
It
know,
is fair enough.
like, so they have
But
these really wrong impressions.
it's fair enough to have an opinion if you are the fan. I'm not even blaming the fan, but it's wrong for the experts to mislead because they're being paid to provide accurate,
Yeah.
and yeah,
So,
they're going to get it wrong occasionally, but
so there's
more,
hundreds of
yeah,
thousands of people who've been intentionally misled. And so
yeah,
those people go on social media and say, Conor Ben, Conor Ben drew the fight. Well, they're just uninformed, right?
exactly,
Because
and
the only information they've got in their heads came from these so-called experts.
yeah, and it's terrible.
Well,
Like it's made me want to switch off from boxing for a while, for a little while, really.
yeah, I mean, I don't really know how to like address that problem because clearly, it's that you've got a side A who's the bookie's favorite. He's the favorite of the promotional company. He's the one that the promotional company thinks has got the best career potential earnings. So then all the YouTubers say that this person is the best. And then during the fight, which might be 50-50, you've got all the commentators saying that the fighter's doing the best. It makes it really, really, really hard to get fair decisions out of the back end.
Yeah, exactly, and it's just wrong because it's not just the commentators, is it? Like boxing, there's this whole it's propaganda. We learn
Yeah,
about propaganda in history like as being a bad thing. Joseph Goebbels, in Germany in the 30s and the 40s, the Ministry of Propaganda, it was a bad thing. It's not something that should be celebrated and lauded. No, you need as an expert or YouTube channels should be impartial. They should be impartial. They are the alternative media. If the alternative media had just came with the mainstream, how are we advancing? How are we moving forward?
the
And it
thing,
just,
yeah, the thing
yeah,
is, a small YouTube channel like will get, a few hundred views, right? But you get these massive channels that are essentially aligned with the promoter's narrative, and they've got, I don't know where they get them. They've got millions of followers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can buy followers though, can't you? How many views have they got? That's what I'd
Yeah,
be
that's
interested in
that.
looking
Yeah,
at.
yeah. I think that it means that a lot of people, well, I guess including me, who we want to talk about the sport, and we want to talk like with people who are also, wanting to speak truthfully. And
Yeah.
that's why you and I are talking today, right? Like we could be talking in a pub if we lived in the same city.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
yeah, and I think a lot of people now maybe do like these sort of chats because the last time I checked, none of my expenses are paid by Queensberry or Matchroom.
No, we're validating people's opinions,
Yeah,
basically, so that,
yeah.
you
So
know,
when you're told that this is the best fight in Britain or whatever it happens to be, well, no, we know that's not true, and so we're going to say,
no,
it might do a lot of money or it might be popular, but it's not going to be the best fights you will see.
it's not the best fight. It's not the best fight I've seen. Like, well, I saw one of the best fights I've seen live was a guy called Diego Costa against Craig. I can't remember the guy's surname, but it was on a Black Flash show. You can search it, and yeah, I was privileged enough to be ringside. And that, I mean, that was a better fight than Eubank and Ben. Don't get me wrong, it was a great fight, but again, just using the names to just Ben was missing a lot of them shots. He
Yeah.
was fainting and missing constantly,
Well, yeah. I
and
mean,
so,
again, the commentating, right? Like the commentating leads you to believe that things were happening that weren't happening.
yeah,
I felt this again last night when I was watching, the Dave Allen Fisher fight. Um, I mean, I gave Fisher the first few rounds, but if you
mm,
listen to the commentating on the Zone broadcast, you would think that Johnny Fisher was much, much better than he was.
yeah, and he did all right. But he looked uncomfortable, and he actually said after the fight he wasn't comfortable boxing on the back foot,
Yeah,
and that
and
should have been brought up
and
a
yeah,
little
he
bit
he
more.
was looking confused, and that was not part of the broadcast. On my video this morning, I said that his face looked like I think my face looks when I'm skiing a black diamond. I I, I can ski it, but I'm constantly thinking my skis are going to cross, or I'm going to hit a tree, or I'm going to fall down.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm skiing a blue, I'm so much more relaxed and comfortable. I'm
Hmm.
sort of skiing within myself. And Johnny Fisher had that look on his face where you'd be forgiven for thinking that he realized that, look, I'm doing the very best I can, and it's not enough.
Well, he said in subsequent interviews, obviously today, where he's just turned around and said, I should have fought the same fight as I fought last time. I felt comfortable. I was I was that's what I'm ready to do constantly. It wasn't the strategy, but you're going to get an exciting fight, and big respect to him for coming out and saying that.
Yeah,
But he looked like a deer caught in the headlights last night. Every time, you'd have thought, and I said the words Terminator, but Dave Allen was sort of marching forward, and he
yeah.
was just looking like, oh,
I,
who, you know
I
what I
think
mean?
I think Johnny Fisher really needs to understand where his level is, and he
Yep.
probably deeply needs to understand that he's not good enough at the moment. Like
No.
I think probably everybody around him has has been kind of bullshitting him a little bit and letting him
Because they're
believe.
making money off him. That's
Yeah,
why, Bob.
yeah, they're letting him believe that he's better than he really is.
Yeah. And
And
he's a nice guy. He doesn't deserve that. He is a nice. He seems like a nice guy. He seems very pleasant and all
yeah,
that.
he seems like a nice kid. Like I say, I think I would be much happier getting behind Johnny Fisher, the boxer, rather than the son of that big guy who's famous for filling his face, right? Like, I really
Yeah.
wish that the dad would drop out of the picture because I think that the dad creates a kind of a vibe around Team Fisher that is a vibe that personally I don't like.
Well, you can imagine when they go out, people aren't people aren't flocking towards John Jr., are they?
No,
They'll
the
be flocking
father's an
towards John
entertainment
Senior,
figure, right?
and it's not fair, is it? You know, Johnny Fisher Jr. has put his arse on the line.
Yeah, and he's probably going to live up
Yeah,
to that image that's created by his dad as well, right?
yeah. I mean, all his dad is a cardiologist's worst nightmare. You know, shouldn't
Y-
be celebrated, should it?
Yeah, I mean, I I I know because Russ from Porky's Corner sent me a picture. The guy advertises underwear on a big billboard on the freeway,
Yeah,
and
he does. Yeah,
and I'm thinking, like, I've seen the picture. I can't get it out of your. It's one of those things. Once seen, you can't forget. To anybody watching this, if they haven't seen it, don't see it. Save your
don't
eyes.
see. Yeah,
But
don't see
but but
it.
yeah, like that really I don't think helps people want to support his son as a boxer, to be honest.
No, certainly not.
And it doesn't do anything for me just wanting to buy that particular brand of underwear, to be perfectly honest either.
Well, I imagine he's quite strong. Must be quite strong
Yeah,
underwear to be able to support his midriff. So
might be fine for sort of just tie downs on your pickup truck or something. But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
anyways, we digress. But yeah, if you've not seen that picture, don't save your eyes. That's all I have to say on the matter. Um, so where do they go from here? Where does Johnny? Well, let's say, where does Johnny Fisher go in your opinion? What do you think?
Just back to the drawing board. You know, he's won a Southern Area title, so you know he's of a championship class. There's no shame in the level that he's at. Um, yeah, just back to the drawing board. Go back, carry on learning your trade. You know, he's done well to a level, and people need to stop being ashamed of being below British level, or just be happy at the level you're at. It's not really his fault he's been thrust into the limelight. You know, it's Matchroom. They've seized upon his popularity. So, you know, just go back to the drawing board, learn your craft, carry on learning your craft,
Yeah,
um, and shift the dad out of the limelight, because the lack of humility won't do you any favors long term.
yeah, that's pretty
Because look
much
at
that's pretty
yeah,
much what I said. It's just carry on. It's a loss. Keep boxing at the level you're at, and add on the skills, right? Like,
yep,
maintain that high level of fitness. He's a natural athlete. Keep
yeah,
learning how to be a boxer.
yeah,
And,
nothing wrong with that.
if one day you get a chance to go for the British title, that'll be an awesome achievement. And if
And
you
that's what he
don't,
wants. That's what he's always said. You know, so
yeah, like he's a,
fair
he's
play.
a he's a good, solid area level boxer.
Hmm. He's done
But
more than Conor Ben,
yes, he
hasn't
has. Yes,
he? Yeah,
he has. When you put it like that, wow.
yep.
Yeah, when you put it like that, he's actually CV to CV. Yes, he has done better.
I suppose the CVs though, on paper, you could say, well, Ben's had wins over former world champions, but so on paper maybe not, but in terms of solid achievement,
Well, so is Jake
Johnny Fisher's
Paul,
had
if
the
that's
time.
if that's the criteria.
Well, yeah, yeah, one of the world heavyweight champions, yeah. So
Yeah. Um,
yeah,
well, what about Dave Allen? I fancy Dave Allen to have a chance against, say, David Adelaide, for the
I'm good.
British title. What do you think?
Right, I'm going to throw something out there that people are probably going to laugh at, and you might even laugh at it. I've been thinking about this. Anthony Joshua. I think
AJ.
Anthony
Wow.
Joshua will be down the road, yeah, at some point. Um, because I, I know that seems absolutely bizarre. It probably seems absolutely bizarre, but I can't trust Tyson Fury. Talking about gaslighting,
Yeah.
Tyson Fury, king of that crap. Now, if Tyson Fury throws another paddy or decides he doesn't want to do it, Joshua needs a confidence builder. If he wants to carry on boxing, get him in there
Right.
with Dave Allen. It's a feel good story. It's pretty much a guaranteed win. A feel good story for Dave Allen because he can earn out of it and like, oh look at it, he was on his arse and he's beat Johnny Fisher and the fight would be easy to make. Joshua
Suppo-
gets a ready-made win and
I
everyone's
have
happy.
I have one question.
What?
Supposing
What am I
supposing
smoking?
supposing Dave Allen wins,
Um, well, it's a possibility.
because
Everyone have got him.
I know that sounds crazy, right? I understand that sounds crazy, but based on where we think Anthony Joshua's head is at, like I think he's vulnerable to getting beaten by almost anybody.
Well,
Like,
yeah, you say it sounds crazy, but the proposition itself was crazy. I was expecting you to laugh me out of the room with that, but
no,
yeah, I
it
don't.
might be, but for the opposite reason that you think.
Yeah, I think it's beyond the realms of it's not beyond the realms of possibility. But Joshua he's very vulnerable. He's stuck between. I wouldn't even say he's stuck between styles, and I've said this on when I've been on with Russ. I don't think Joshua's got a style because he just flits between trainers. He's a bit like Eubank. He'll sort of absorb what the trainer at the time is telling him. So
Yeah,
I think he's a very confused gentleman. At least Dave Allen doesn't. Dave Allen doesn't try and deny what he is. He's very limited, and he goes out there and he'll give it a go. He'll give it a go against Joshua. He'll turn up for the money. Jamie Moore, which has surprised me. Jamie Moore's been talking about Dave Allen and saying like he's really fit. It's the best camp we've had. I don't know if he's talking about. I mean, there's differences between aesthetic fitness and functional fitness, isn't there?
yeah. Well, I
Um,
mean, Dave Allen said that he had problems, keeping away from the fridge. He also said that he intentionally gained a few pounds
yep.
because to give him better resistance. But he's also said, and I think this is real Dave Allen, that he knew he could beat Fisher, so therefore he was not too worried about what he was eating.
Thing is, right, I looked at him. I'm sure I've seen pictures of him. He had like a really weird physique on the night. His stomach was sort of protruded a bit. You
Yeah,
look at his arms and his shoulders and that were quite defined.
yeah,
So there's
yeah,
obviously been some work has been done in the gym.
yeah.
If Dave Allen can sort of, I mean, this would be his Rocky moment, and I do believe that he'll be in the AJ sweepstakes. I really do. Because
Well,
where else
that
does Hearn go with him? Where
for,
where else?
for money that would be awesome. It would be a fabulous cash out. Um, for me, I was wanting to see him take on David Adelaide for the British Championship. Ideally, beat David Adelaide, and then maybe defend it against TKV, and then retire. But if it's a
Yeah,
chance to fight against AJ for pay, there's never going to be a payday like that.
I know. I think a lot of people might have switched off at this point because they're
Yeah,
like, what's Jamie smoking? But yeah, watch this space because I think that is a real possibility.
yeah. So we shall we move to part two?
Let's
Oh,
move to part two.
okay, folks. Well, thanks for watching. We will resume on part two of this, and we'll continue to go into strange areas. Who knew? David Allen and Anthony Joshua. You never know, eh?